you joined Wushu Central Martial Arts Academy a long time ago. Why did that happen in the first place? Why did you first start attending classes at Wushu Central?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here. When I started my journey at Wushu Central, it was in the most pacifist, domicile way. I had seen a Jet Li movie, which most people do, and the journey that his character went through really inspired me to pursue my own journey. And so I started to inquire about Tai Chi classes. And as you know, I was moving along through my lessons in Tai Chi, and you had mentioned to me, you should come out for a Wushu class. I'm like, I don't know. But eventually, I tried out one of the classes, and it was quite challenging, even with some of my previous athletic ability. And I got hooked on it. I liked the structure of the class. I also liked the things that I was learning and how it was challenging me mentally, physically, and emotionally as well.
That's awesome. So what was like the most challenging part of all of that?
I like when I was starting out, the most challenging thing was actually, waiting to get to the next class, because I would enjoy the class a lot. So waiting to get to the next class was challenging. Aside from that, I would probably say, some of the physical aspects of it was challenging at when I started, which was, I believe, at around age 30. So I was not, 15 or 12, even though I had dreams of it at that time. My journey didn't enable me to get started in any type of martial arts until I was off on my own and living out here in California. But, in terms of physical ability wise, I think the challenge for me was learning how to take advantage of what I could do to incorporate into my Wushu, and not try to compare myself to somebody else who could, do an aerial or could do splits or things like that. So I think that was probably the most challenging thing, was really working with my own ability and accepting what I could do versus focusing on what I couldn't do.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Hey, I want to quick shout out to Frida, who's tuning in from Elk Grove, California. We love our long distance viewers. That's absolutely fantastic. Those of you that are just joining us, we're interviewing Francis Chau here today. Francis Chau is a successful business owner who was also one of our longtime students, and he has a lot to say, a lot of advice to give about starting, becoming successful, and how Wushu has really done that for him. So Francis, you stayed with us for like about 10 years. I mean, that's a really long time. So why did you stay for so long?
Short answer is that I was hooked. I was addicted. I liked the physical aspects of it. Of course, I think for me, there was also a desire to, get fit, but also just I liked the excitement that was created through the martial arts and through Wushu, working with weapons and working with hand forms. I also liked the challenge of really trying to push my body to see what I could do. And, some of the classmates that I had, they were in the same boat, Robert, Dave, and Sarah and Stephanie. So we were all, way past our 20s. The aspect of having that challenge was it was interesting. It wasn't just like also, playing other sports, like going out to play basketball and tennis. I think the other thing was that the coaching that you have at the school helped out a lot too, because we could just go and play other sports, but without actual coaches, it just didn't quite have that challenge. So having your coaching staff provide that feedback, and then also working with you, providing that feedback for us so that we could actually be the best that we could be. I think that was the key that was different than just going off and hitting a ball against the wall.
Sure. Yeah. Well, one of the takeaways from you just said there was that you and a number of other students with you were, in your 20s or 30s or 40s, right? And so a lot of times we get parents calling in and asking, hey, my kid is into martial arts, but I've always kind of wanted to do it myself. Am I too old? right? And I'm like, you're never too old,
No,
right? We've got people
no.
in their 50s and their 60s and 70s who train with,
Yeah,
in martial arts here with us. So you're never really too old.
yeah.
Viewers, if you have any questions, you want to ask anything of myself or of Francis, please drop it in the comments. We will be happy to address that. So Francis, you earned multiple black belt degrees, like literally all the way up to your 5th degree. So what do you feel you gained from that experience?
Wow. I think the number one thing was that I gained the sense of accomplishment. Um, there was a very structured way to get to those certifications. I liked that. That helped me, set those goals. I think the other thing too was really just learning a lot about myself. I think anybody starting in Wushu has a personal journey. And so, in my travels and in the work that I do, I actually focus a lot on the personal journey because it's great to see other people's success and we root for them. But for me, my personal success and journey is very it's personal. So the certifications and the black belts really just told me that even though I had gotten to that point, there was still much more to learn. And I think, for me, it was a lot of humility. And that is in itself is just that personal development that I had attained through the program as well.
Right. That's amazing. That's so cool. So, let's talk about you in business. You run not just one, but 2 successful businesses, and you do them simultaneously, which is absolutely crazy. So, can you tell our viewers a little bit about the businesses that you run?
Yeah, thank you. So the first business that we have, my wife Delina had a dream because she was a former model and actress when she was in her teens. She wanted to open up a modeling school and talent agency. So we had that opportunity. At that time was actually when that was after I had started with Wushu. So I was working with you, doing Wushu and Tai Chi, and I was actually working at Starbucks at the time. And so we opened up the business, and we started to become successful. And it had grown so much to the point where she actually said, "Okay, Francis, do you want to stay at Starbucks, or do you want to come work with me full time?" And then do Wushu more. And I'm like, okay, I know.
No-brainer. Well, she sold you on that really easily, didn't she? She knew exactly what buttons to press.
We've been running and operating our John Casablanca's Modeling and Career Center for the past 13 years. Very successful. We have developed talents and put them into the modeling and acting industry. We train them, groom them, develop them, and then also work with them to market their image. I do work with the photography side to get them the marketing photos. So we've been doing that, and that's still going on. And then, having gotten to a level where our business was flourishing, we decided to take on another challenge. And so Delina had another dream, and this dream was to open up a cosmetology school because she had enjoyed the experience of getting her hair done and everything. So we invested into opening up a cosmetology school. It is now converted to a Paul Mitchell, the school here in San Jose at the East Ridge Mall. Mm-hmm. And so with that, that is now open for enrollment. We essentially train and groom hairdressers and also get them ready for the world and help place them in salons as well. And we also take clients in from the public to work on. And, you had mentioned that I was a photographer for the modeling school. I'm also a licensed hairdresser for the cosmetology school. So I have that on my belt too.
Yes. Oh, it's amazing. You wear so many hats. And, those of you who don't know, my own children actually were students at at Francis's and Delina's modeling school, and my daughter actually got she was in a commercial for the NBA,
yeah.
and that went nationwide, which was absolutely amazing. For I think she was probably maybe only like 8 years old at that time, and she was on national television on an NBA commercial. So that was fantastic. So if you are wanting to get your children into modeling or into the into the modeling or acting business, contact Francis. He's a great route to go. So Francis, how has your experience in Wushu helped you just be a better business person? How did what you learned kind of translate?
Yeah, so Wushu, it's a lot of fun, but it's also a lot of challenge as well. And of course, the physical aspect is always there. And everybody always has some type of a physical challenge when they're doing the Wushu. But to me, the physical challenge of it was just one aspect of it, but it was the mental challenge that I underwent through that process that really kind of helped fine-tune my skills, and I've used those skills directly. One of them was, of course, when I went into take my licensing examination. It was in a room of 8 people, and there was an examiner who was just watching me. And to me, I think I was probably the most calm person in the room, because I was like, this is easy. I went through 10 years of Sifu's eyes on me for performing everything. So by the time I got to my license examination, I was like, squatting down on the floor to rest my back and everything, and everybody else was just standing. But in terms of how that's helped me as a business, there's a lot of stressful situations when you're starting a new business or even maintaining a business, and the emotional management side of it, I think, is so key. So, during the time that I had trained with you, I really developed the way to focus, to develop patience, and to really understand myself, in terms of when you're showing some type of a movement, either in hand forms or with weapons, you would perform it so beautifully, right? And then when I would do it, it looked like I'm swatting flies, and I'd have to figure out, okay, why is it that he can do it that way and I can't? And I have to figure out, okay, is it because of my flexibility? Is it because of this? So, I think with Wushu, to me, it mirrors life in the sense that, it's similar to, the movie that Jackie Chan did with Will Smith's son, Jaden Smith. And he said that part, and it was such a key pivotal moment in that movie when he said everything is kung fu, right? And so everything is right. And that was so key. And to me, that really is paramount, because there's things that we can do that other people can't, and there's things that people can do that we can't, and we have to learn to manage those types of voices and those little mind gremlins. So for me, in business, that was one thing, is just being able to manage the emotional development of that, and develop the skills to really handle just about anything, because and if it doesn't work out, then it's not the end of the world. It's just move on to the next thing.
Right. Yeah. And something you said just really resonated with me, which is how training in Wushu, being a student in the school, is really a model for life, right? And when you learn to be successful through the martial arts program, you also learn to be successful in life, because every one of those skills translates. The growth mindset of being able to realize that I'm not good at something, but to be able to work towards improving that, right? Yeah. The grit, where sometimes you want to give up, right? But through the encouragement and through the desire to succeed, you stick through it. And then that translate later on when you go into business, because you and I both know running business is hard, right? And there are a lot of times where you just want to throw in the towel and be like, it's not worth it, right? There's going to be bad months. You might have months where you're not making any money at all in your business, right? You're losing money. And it just becomes really easy to be like, this would be so much easier just to be a regular employee somewhere and to have a reliable paycheck, right? And so, all those things really, really, really come together. Those of you who are just tuning in, this is Francis Chau. He runs successful businesses, and we're interviewing him today to talk about some of the things that he has done in his life and how Wushu has really helped him with that. So Francis, what advice would you give to people wanting to go the entrepreneurial route?
I think there's a bit of entrepreneurial spirit in most everybody, just because most people enjoy having control over their lives. I think the first thing is to get to know yourself and know the reason why you would want to actually get into a business. There's always a financial aspect of it. I mean, nobody goes into business to lose money. I mean, so I think it's always a give. And if you're gonna get into some type of business, the money is, it's almost kind of like a baseline. Like if you don't get into do it, if they're not, it's you know that you have to make money in order to continue doing that business. So if the money is there, you have to decide, well, why am I doing it? And usually that's a very personal reason. Some people do it for, as an expression of their artistry. Some people do it as a way to give back and to community. So there's all those reasons. But I think it's important to understand what goals that a person has when they're starting a business. And I think the second thing is build your team. It's basically a one person business is not a business. That's basically just like a mom and pop shop. That's so building a team will help anybody get further in life. And it's kind of similar to even if you're really good at the one thing that you're doing business with, you still need to have a team, because you're good at one thing, but then you're coming up against somebody else who has 20 other people on their team, and they all have the same skills that you have, plus 20 other skills that they're bringing into the table. So you have to have a really good team.
Right.
And with my wife Delina and I, we make a really good team. It's not very common that husband and wives go into business together.
Mhm.
And I'm not exactly sure why, because I would figure, if your marriage is good, your business might be good too. So,
Sure.
um, but so she and I work really well together. There's that synergy that we have, where the things that I am good at, I fill in where she is lacking, and then where she is good, there's the things that I don't have to take care of. So having the roles really laid out on the team is going to be important. And then I think the other one, in terms of whether they're going into business or into any other type of work, there's something I had learned from one of my mentors, and he always described it as know, like, and trust. People will only do business, or people prefer to do business with people that they know, people that they like, and people that they trust. So being able to create a connection with somebody authentically is important in building and nourishing relationships.
Mhm.
And another of my mentors says that when you go into business, you're not in the selling business, and this was more from a financial perspective. You're not in the selling business to make a sale. You're in the business to make you're in the reorder business,
Sure.
because
Relationship, right?
yeah, that relationship. It's that relationship that you build in order to have a successful business, because there's only so many people in the world.
Mhm.
But you don't have to sell to everybody. You just have to sell. Just have to earn the respect of the people to have them reorder.
Right.
So I
100%.
think that's really key. Those are the three things I'd probably say is really important for entrepreneurs and anybody getting into the entrepreneur world, is getting to really know themselves. And part of the knowing themselves is really knowing what you can and what you can't do. I think that's
Mhm.
really important too. And that's where you build your team, is to fill in the gaps where you are lacking. And then part of your team is not just people who report to you, but also people who coach you, people who provide you the guidance and the mentorship that they have the answers. I think that's really
Mhm.
important too.
Yeah, that's amazing. That was just gold. Those of you listening, guys, you guys just got some great free coaching there. Super, super awesome. So, Francis, where can people find you?
Well, I'm on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram. I'm actually in the school here. We have the one location for both schools. So during the weekdays, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're at the East Ridge Mall inside the Paul Mitchell, the school, and it actually says the school. So we're here Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday with our hair school. And then on the weekends, on Saturday and Sunday, when people are participating in extracurricular activities, that's when we work with our models and actors. Online, they can go to jcasablancas.com. And that's where they can begin to research about John Casablancas. He has a very rich history in the modeling and acting industry. And then for our hair school, our hairdressing school and cosmetology school, we have paulmitchell.edu. Paulmitchell.edu is our school. There's about over 100 schools across the U.S. and of course, Paul Mitchell is all in salons with the retail products as well.
Yes, that's amazing. Wow, super cool. So if anybody is interested in getting into modeling or acting, or is interested in learning more about cosmetology, check out Francis's and Delina's business. So